go ahead. It's okay.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ketki, and I'm the Global CMI Director for Lifebuoy and the Hygiene Portfolio. With me is my research partner, Maushmi Palit, who is the Associate Partner at Quantum Consumer Solutions based in Singapore. It's an honor and privilege for us to be presenting this paper at the MRMW, Unearthing Hygiene Experiences and Anxieties during COVID-19 to establish new markets for our brand Lifebuoy. Let me start by telling you a little bit about this wonderful brand Lifebuoy. It has a large consumer footprint in over 50 countries, and its lead markets are India, Indonesia, Africa, Vietnam, Saudi, UAE, Bangladesh, Pakistan. Lifebuoy's brand vision is to make people around the world feel safe and secure by meeting all their personal care, health, and hygiene needs. The Lifebuoy vision defines a bigger purpose to inspire, motivate, and change consumer lives. Starting off now with our research. So our story really begins in 1894 when a cholera epidemic was spreading through towns in rapidly urbanizing Victorian England. Lifebuoy was then created as an affordable way for communities to protect themselves from the spread of infectious diseases, which were the #1 cause of death. During the epidemic of 1918 and during the two world wars, Lifebuoy launched various programs to teach children and families the importance of hand washing. Lifebuoy also ran free bath services of hot water, soap, and towels to improve hygiene standards. From its inception as one of the world's first consumer brands, Lifebuoy saw itself as an agent of social change and continues to be so. In post-war Europe, there were rapid changes in healthcare and pharmaceuticals, because of which life-threatening diseases and ailments of the 1900s became manageable illnesses by 1990s. On the other hand, other changes were taking place. Disposable incomes went up and the markets exploded with new consumer needs and new competitors. Lifebuoy unfortunately had to withdraw from UK and went to seek its future in emerging markets where consumer lifestyles, needs, and conditions were very similar to its home market many years ago. Over time, this wonderful brand faded from public consciousness, and an entire generation grew up with no association and memory of this brand whatsoever. However, COVID-19 brought an opportunity for the brand to make a comeback into UK as well as some other European markets, while fulfilling the brand mission of guiding people towards hygiene practices and saving lives. While assessing the opportunity to enter Europe, certain considerations needed to be kept in mind. The first one is that we were entering an already established market with established players owning significant shares and equity, and we were a relatively unknown brand. The second point is that with COVID, the hand hygiene market had changed drastically. Penetration moved up from about 60% to over 75%, and small private labels were mushrooming, and the established brands were hyping up claims on germ kill and disinfectant properties. We did some initial quantitative market mapping, as well as packaging and communication understanding work, to realize that the dynamics of the European market were very different from Lifebuoy's DNA core markets like India and Indonesia. The purest germ protection messaging and the red and white look and feel of our brand, which gave it authority in these markets, actually did not have the same impact in Europe and were in fact alienating consumers. So, to create a positioning for Lifebuoy to enter these markets, we needed to tap into the required market codes, but at the same time, we had to be true to Lifebuoy's DNA. I will now hand over to Maushmi, who will talk to you about the research design and how she uncovered some wonderful insights for our brand. Over to you, Maushmi.
Thank you, Ketki. Hello, everybody. I will take you through our approach to the task and the design now. So We started by looking at the objective as two distinct tasks. First, as a brand playing in emerging markets with problem contexts and Lifebuoy and tensions that Lifebuoy was solving in those markets, they were very specific to the D&E market template itself. For instance, in many of these markets, hygiene was literally a life-saving act. To enter a developed market, the first thing, therefore, we needed to understand was how the dynamics of the D market were different and use this understanding to input into what in our footprint needed to change and what needed to stay constant. Thus, for us, the first task was to gain a foundational understanding of the market dynamics in terms of what hygiene meant in the markets, its tensions, needs, landscapes, and language. Having established this baseline understanding, task 2 for us was to understand the impact of COVID on the market and its shift in terms of associations, mindsets, needs, language, as well as landscape, and then use these together to build a brand template for Lifebuoy's entry into Europe. So in terms of a design, we decided to go about building this understanding through the use of 4 distinctly different lenses. The first was the lens of culture, which we used to understand the concept of hygiene itself. How was the concept of hygiene in the D world? What were the tensions around it? What was the impact of COVID on this? And what were the resultant tensions in the macro context? Second was the lens of the market itself to understand the category landscape in terms of benefit, in terms of language, and how COVID had made an impact on both. Third was the lens of the psyche to dive into anxieties in our consumers' lived realities, perceived life impact and repercussions, and link with hygiene. Fourth was the lens of behavior in real time to understand choices, solutions, pain points in multiple contexts with different solutions, both inside their homes as well as outside. So going into each of these lenses one by one, we first see the lens of culture. Here, to do a deep dive, what we did was extensive literature review where the core team worked with a social anthropologist in Quantum's UK Hive. We started this understanding by doing a charting of the evolution of hygiene in Europe, where we saw that hygiene moved from being a sign of status in European courts to a means of saving lives in the Pastorian era. And then with the onset of social infrastructure, how it had moved to being a health and wellness narrative before the pandemic hit. We looked at how COVID brought about a regression in this health and wellness narrative and brought it back into its hygiene tensions. And therefore, what were the key meta tensions in the culture? These tensions were then linked to hygiene specific tensions for the brand to focus on. Going to the category landscape and language, we followed a two-pronged methodology to deep dive into this aspect. The first was brand workshops with consumers, where we spoke to consumers and we did intense looking at different communication and packaging to map key brands in terms of positioning and offers, and to identify cues and signs that consumers sought from packs and comms. Simultaneously, we did a semiotic audit of brand communication and packaging with an expert to decode language codes, codes of benefits, codes of visuals and claims, to understand what were the predominant narratives and how they were changing post-COVID. This helped us map competitive offers in the market sharply and gave us insights into what is critical in our offer versus what is of much lower incremental value. These were used as input for comms and packaging development. So, while designing for the last two pillars, psyche and behavior, we had to take some considerations into account. The first thing was we needed to tap into anxieties in everyday lived experiences and then bring them back to life with the same richness for our discussions at a much later date. We needed to capture in situ behavior and pain points in multiple contexts in everyday life and understand decision trees, choices, pain points around them. And third, we needed to capture explicit as well as implicit tensions. COVID had actually made hand hygiene a very frequent behavior. Often it was happening by rote. And yet it had also given rise to multiple subconscious tensions in our psyche. So we needed to tap into not just the conscious thoughts and experiences and behavior that our consumers were manifesting, but also into the unconscious in terms of tensions as well as actions. So how did we go about it? In order to capture explicit and implicit tensions and understand what made them powerful, we created a task that required consumers to document significant events and experiences in their everyday life contexts. During discussions, we tapped into these experiences that left an imprint and understood emotions, tensions around these experiences. We deconstructed each memory to identify touch points that provide context as well as a link to hygiene. These provided us with need spaces and propositions, as well as relevant link to multiple hygiene contexts. Let us take you through the next slide where we will show you some lived experiences. So here we have some adaptations of lived experiences that we thought would be interesting to share with you. First, here is a young mother in Germany who believes that touch is a very critical way young kids learn to experience the world. She says, "My son loves to help me cook. When he's in the kitchen, he licks the pepper, he puts his finger in the cheese, he touches everything regardless of what it is. I let him because that's how it opens his mind to new experiences and learning. While it worries me, I do not want to burden him with restrictions." Here is another consumer who has gone out for a meal after a long time after the lockdowns have lifted. And she's talking about how she thought it would be a relaxing experience, but she could not switch off the fear that was in the back of her head. So she says, even a normal outing like a meal to a restaurant has become mentally tiring. I don't enjoy it anymore. I'm always on guard, constantly checking what I'm touching. Here is another mother who's talking about her kids' school and how she feels judged when kids miss school because they fall sick. So they have a whiteboard outside the school front gate that says how many days of school your child has missed. So essentially it's basically who's winning and who's losing. And this is like a judgment of the parent. Now coming to behavior of hand cleansing and how we went about capturing it. So what we did, because we wanted to capture a lot of different contexts and a lot of different types of behavior that were happening, we adapted the ethnographic approach and used extensive digital self-ethnography over multiple days, where our consumers were given a lot of tasks daily to capture hand cleansing in contexts both in home as well as out of home. They were asked to identify hygiene hotspots and solutions they chose, why they chose that, was there something that they did after choosing that solution to identify pain points, etc. So this enabled us to not only understand behavior, but also create a risk spectrum depending on the ways consumers allocate risk to different contexts, and plot consumer behavior and needs on this spectrum and identify what was the opportunity for the brand at each point of the spectrum. It also helped us generate product improvement cues as well as future innovation opportunities. So how did using the 4 lenses help us? It allowed us to connect to a consumer in multiple ways and create a holistic understanding, which helped us find relevant ways of connecting and speaking to the European consumer that was very pertinent to the market and the culture. It helped us sharpen communication, proposition, and packaging. It helped us shift from an alienist, purist, germ protection D&E brand to a holistic hygiene brand for the D world. Now, Ketki is going to take you through the impact of our research. So over to you, Ketki.
Thanks, Kaushal. Coming to the impact, there were lots of need spaces, both emotional and functional, that were uncovered in this research, but they fell into three distinct buckets. So there were some insights that went into outward connections, some that came into inward reflections, and some which were very clearly about contemporary parenting. Next slide, please. Now, from all these need spaces, we finally narrowed down to one which was for the kids cohort and two which were for adults and families as a cohort. And two spaces identified were actually combined in the German as well as UK's Bish Bash Bosch communication, which you might have seen. Lifebuoy won the Grosser Gold Award 2021 for the household and personal care brand of the year. More importantly, I think Lifebuoy successfully returns back to its home market, UK, in an avatar that is distinctly Lifebuoy and yet in sync with the sensibilities of a European market and its consumers. This research is very close to our heart because it has enabled this wonderful brand to continue its global mission of saving lives. Lifebuoy has indeed come full circle. That's it from us. Thank you very much for your attention. And please come back to us with any questions you may have. Thank you.